Welcome to Working Dogs and Whiskey. I'm Sean White. I'm here with my co host, Jonathan Moses, where we have open and honest conversations as we dive into the world of dog training.
We already kind of been bullshitting a little bit, but that's what we're here for, right? But we got Sarah Carver on. It's good having you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you too.
If you could kind of just give us a little bit of your background, kind of tell us how you got into working dogs to begin with, and just kind of give us your story and take it from there.
So I was a handler in the Navy for 5 years. I was undesignated first. It's pretty much going to uh, the Navy without a rate, and wanted to be canine from the very beginning. And then was undesignated for about 3 years. Did kennel sport. Got selected for canine or for MP school and canine school, and then went to two kennels. I was stationed in Sicily, Italy for 2 years, and then Washington State for 3 years. And then in Washington, I decided that I was going to get out and pursue the civilian, like the police side of canine. And I started working into the skill bridge program that the DoD offers. And I did that program with a vendor out of the Austin, Texas area, and started working training green dogs and instructing out there. And then in December of 2023, I left there and started my own company, CJC Canine. And I now, well, not totally, but I travel the country decoying for police dogs and their training days and seminars. And then I do, like, whenever they ask me to, I'll like run their training days as well.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. Quick question, because obviously I'm in the Marine Corps as a handler. What is y'all's process? And I'll explain a little bit like how I got into canine. I just want to know if it's kind of similar what y'all do as far as the Navy. But like for me, like our OJT process was basically like a haze fest. Like you just walked in, if you weren't cleaning kennels, you were getting dead. Like that was pretty much the I guess your test to fit in. So I'm just interested on what was your experience?
So for me, once I was fine, so I was aviation first, and aviation and the Navy, like they're very loyal to each other. And so when I first told them I wanted to be canine, they're like, they wouldn't help me at all. They're like, yeah, big dog, that's not gonna happen. Like, so thankfully I ended up getting hurt on my first ship, and I got put on shore duty for a while. And from there, I was talking with my leadership about what I wanted to do, and they actually got me in line with the kennel master. At that was my original duty station was in Washington State as well. So I got in line with the kennel master there and started doing kennel support OJT on my off time. And then how it worked then when I did it, at least at that kennel, was if you showed up and you showed that you actually wanted to be there, you put the time in, then they would fight for you to become full-time kennel support. And then so instead of doing like your job and kennel support on top of that, you get to focus truly on being on the kennel support and learning the program, learning the dogs. And so from there, I went full-time kennel support, but then the Navy was like, yeah, you have to go back to a ship. So I got sent back to a ship, and I got to see. And so still, like, my heart like dropped when that happened. I'm like, I have to kiss K9 goodbye. It's never gonna happen. But my chain of command at the kennels and security there still fought for me. And chain of command on my second ship that I was stationed on, they put a lot of effort into getting me K9 and the orders for MAA school as well. And once I got selected for MAA school, once we got in shore, I called my kennel master and told him. He's like, yeah, I know, you idiot. He's like, you're welcome. And he's like, yeah, told me that I got dog school orders too. And then, so that's how it works for me. It kind of varies. I've seen some people come in and they simply show up, and just by that's enough for the chain of command. I don't think that's what it should entail. I think you should actually show that you desire to be a handler and not just be present.
Right.
And then I've had people who've shown up, got their letter of recommendation, and then you don't see them again. So
Wow.
it varies kennel to kennel, chain of command. But that's how. And then for us, we also we call them pipeliners.
Yeah.
So you go from boot camp to A school, and then A school, if they have a spot in K9 that opens up for it, they'll have like the interview process at A school for K9 for people who are just straight out of boot camp, and then they'll select from that interview process. And so they'll go from boot camp to A school to C school to their first kennel, which I think I don't like that process really, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. No, a lot of people don't in the military line. Like, I'm kind of indifferent. I haven't really gotten to see the results. The Marine Corps brought it back. It skipped my generation when I came in. You had to go to MP school, military police school. I was in military police for a year, and then you kind of similar to your story. Like, you had to volunteer, like after shift work. You had to show up at the kennels and volunteer and all that good stuff. But but they transitioned back to the pipeline program that you mentioned. And I mean, like I said, I haven't really directly seen what it produces for the Marine Corps, but you know, it's there, it's the system. You know, I'm just like, as long as there are hearts in it, you know, they'll distinguish themselves. So
don't get me wrong, like I've seen phenomenal handlers that are pipeliners, and I've seen shitbags that have gone to kennel sport and gone it that way.
Right.
I think just like where I've seen the struggle with it is when you hand an 18-year-old kid a dog and tell him to go work the street, then it gets a little messy there.
I could see that, because I just worked with a handler. We were trying to troubleshoot his dog, and it became a giant lesson. Like, I had to put the dog away, and I'm like, dude, do you even know what the fuck is going on here? And it's just a lack of maturity. Like, you and I could have probably had that same dog, and it would have went a lot smoother. But it is what it is. You know, that's what you know, that's what I'm here for now, is to facilitate.
Exactly.
So I can only do so much. But yeah. So now you're doing you're doing stuff outside of the military. Obviously, you got out. How was that transition?
So it wasn't as rough as I thought it was going to be. Everyone told me, they're like, oh, it's going to be rough. You're going to feel pretty sad. But the transition for me, honestly, wasn't that bad. Especially because I got to do Skill Bridge, and that transition helped a lot, because I went straight into, so I think I was about a month or two into my internship, and the boss, the owner of the company where I used to work, he offered me a job once my internship was done, about like a month into the internship. And so I rolled straight from military right into a job. And it was all of us that worked there were all prior. We had Air Force, Navy, and Marines, and Army as well. So it was basically the same thing, just without the UCMJ.
And for the listeners, the UCMJs are like laws specifically for the military. So special things that
hang over our head.
Yeah. But so what was it like as far as your time active duty? Like, how was your career there?
So my first, like I said, so the undesignated portion of my career, it was a lot of character development. I'll say that.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
A lot of it was a haze fest, and it basically undesignated sailors are put into the Navy because they need people to clean the ships, and that's what you're there to do. And I've had the McPawn tell me that before, because it's supposed to be you go do on-job training with the rate that you want, and then from there, if you can be selected for it, it goes that way. It's not how it works. They throw you where they need you, and that's it. And then once I was a handler, I absolutely loved it. And my first kennel was by far like the best kennel I've ever been to. I think Sicily is close to a 20-dog kennel. I can't remember. But overall, we were very like-minded people there. It was,
Mm,
and not like an egotistical way. It was everybody was there because we wanted to be the best handlers that we could possibly be, and do the job that was like the task at hand the best we could. And we could tell each other, hey, like you sucked this way, and this is how you be better. And people didn't get their feelings hurt that way. And we rolled into it, and it turned out like, don't get me wrong, like we weren't the perfect kennel by any means, but we were very well rounded and well versed. And then I got to my second kennel in Washington State, and that ultimately ended up being the reason why I got out of the military. Um,
right.
it it wasn't. I mean, I was still working dogs, still loving it, but just kind of what I saw it turning into. That's why I was like, I'm just gonna take this as a sign to walk away, and continue and develop myself as a trainer and then as a instructor.
So
Quick
when you were
question
in
for you.
Sicily, were you with oh, go
Oh, go
ahead,
ahead.
John. You're good.
Oh, yeah.
No,
So,
you're good,
quick
man.
question for you. Just on
Hmm.
your experience, like in the military and the training you got, I've heard a lot of people say they were handlers, but as far as learning
Hmm.
to train dogs, it seems like a lot of people get that outside of the military, or like in Sean's case, he went down to Lackland, and that's kind of where he got it from. What was the biggest takeaway? Like, where did you really learn to start training dogs versus handling dogs?
So I'd say the first kind of taste I got of the difference between being a handler versus a trainer is when I got my first green dog, Flash. Um, she
Uh,
was a horrible dog. She like don't get me wrong, like I learned a lot from that dog, and she was a very humbling dog because I was cocky before I got her. Because I had two push button dogs before her, and I'm like, wow, I know what I'm doing. And then I got her,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I actually don't know what I'm doing. And so to figuring out what worked for the dog and what was in front of me, and not kind of rolling off of what everyone else was doing around me, was that helped a lot. But then I remember getting to, so by the time I started working at that vendor, um, I rolled into there thinking like, oh, like I think I'll be like, I'll I got this. Like, I got this one in the books. Like, this will be fine. And training green dogs, truly green dogs, from knowing absolutely nothing, wanting to eat you and you pull them out of the kennel, versus a green dog that's already been trained and handed to you in the military is so different. And
so
that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing now. So I'm offering a seminar now as well called Bridging the Gap Between Handler and Trainer, because I think they should be one and the same. I think you should be
nice.
able to, if you have issues with your dog, you should be able to troubleshoot. I mean, obviously, we're all here to help each other because none of us know everything. But we should be able to troubleshoot and problem solve for the most part on our own. And then when we need to reach out to whoever we need to fix that problem. And I've seen, especially on the police side of it, handlers come back a year later and they look the same, if not worse, because they don't know how to problem solve, or they don't know how to. It just simply like the dog didn't have problems, but they didn't know how to advance their dog, and so they're just kind of like static, and they don't know where to go through from there, and that's nothing on them. Like you don't know what you don't know, but I don't. There shouldn't be the gap there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Like as far as the gap, uh, I'll apologize about Flash, which I know we talked about her in, through messages. So there's two different dogs named Flash that I distinctly remember.
Hmm.
Which did you have the floppy eared one or the
Yeah,
like she
so
had? Oh Jesus
she had one
Christ!
half a floppy ear, like chunk missing out
Yeah,
of her ear. Zulu
fuck. I'm
356.
sorry. Yeah, and I say that because in comparison between the two, they both one was all right. She just needed to be with a good trainer, but the one that you
Yeah,
got was the one I explicitly advocated for them not to send out. Yeah, for
that
a good
was
reason.
so. And so
Huh.
I touch on this too. So I got her. We talked about this a bit. Um,
Hmm.
so when I left when my mom passed away, I left on emergency leave. And I was on a 12-year-old green dog, or not green dog, sorry. I was on a
Yeah,
12-year-old bomb dog who was push button, and I literally was just a calm defender for the dog. And I get back after a month, and they're like, so Dino's retired. Here's your first green dog. And super excited about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna finally like, I'm gonna prove myself.
Yep.
And Flash was a very, very emotional dog that lacked drive. And obviously, I'm running through like processing grief, learning how to deal with that for the first time. And so I think that is, we all say how emotions run down lead. I truly learned that with that dog and learning like, hey, like whatever you got going on in life, like feel it. But when it comes to this dog, put that stuff to the side and go work your dog.
Yeah, we actually had an episode, I think it's like episode 4, about
Yeah.
putting emotions aside and things like that. But yeah, what would you say is like the biggest thing that you learned from her? Because I know she was a challenge at Lackland. Like I said, it was like 8 different trainers, and we were all chipping in, like trying to get her through. And yeah, from what I remember, I remember the emotional side of her, and then the and it was just weird. It was a weird combination, the lack of drive and everything
I mean,
else.
like when it comes down to it, like one, you can't, and you know this too, like drives drive. You can't, and you can build on it, but you can't build it into a dog.
Hmm.
And so that's one thing I learned. Her obedience, I got pretty on point, but her like in learning to like with her like assess what the dog actually needed in front of you. Because I would see how people engaged with their dog, and I would try that with her, and like she didn't care for it. Like honestly,
Right.
she just wanted to be loved on, and that's what she liked the affection, she liked the like physical affirmation from the handler, and learning to assess the dog at hand and not what you see around you was a big takeaway from that dog. And they also like I said, kind of rolling back to the emotional side of it, like rolling through the emotions of what I was going through and also trying to convince a dog to work that didn't want to work and getting so frustrated with her to the point of like, all right, I'm gonna put this dog up. I'm gonna go cry in the corner real quick and then I'll pull you back out and we'll work this problem at hand. And learning, hey, like sometimes you just gotta put the dog up because like as much as I always want to end on the positive note, sometimes just if you continue to work it, it's just going to make things worse.
Yeah. All right, I like it. So it
Yeah, I
sounds
think
like you definitely learned a lot from her, and you said that kind of
Oh,
helped you carry over to your civilian job, the very first one you got into. It kind of prepped you a little bit. Did you see
yeah.
dogs similar to her when you got there, or just having like that plethora of tools and the skill set you learned helped out?
So not to the extent of her because my boss at the time was pretty good at like on occasion like dogs would show well in Europe because he imports all his from Europe. They would show well in Europe and sometimes that like trip over is hard like they go through heat cycles whatever like sometimes they just don't have it. And if it got to that extent of like Flash level, like he'd be like, yeah, we're not gonna work this dog. Like he would sell them as a pet.
Yeah,
And so thankful in that way because it's not even worth it at that point. Like the effort you're gonna have to put in, like I shouldn't have to convince a dog to work.
yeah,
Um, but she did definitely help me. She kind of gave me like a takeaway from what I was stepping into, but it was still like I didn't realize what I was truly stepping into stepping into the trainer side of things until I was
okay,
actually in it. And I'm like, oh wow, this is a lot.
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely a game changer. Like you had mentioned earlier, going from handling a dog and even handling like a green, what we call a green dog, which is uh for definition purpose, a green dog in the military is a dog that's gone through like essentially basic training and then gets shipped out to the base, and but it has no operational experience. But and I had the same thing going, when I was in the kennels. We got a green dog, opposite of Flash, very high drive male, and but I remember it was a very humbling experience, um, and working with because I had to train a new handler, and that dog. So, but I mean, you take away a lot of intangible things. Just, I think the biggest thing for me was like the humility aspect of like dialing it back, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everybody says end things on a positive note, and I really don't believe in that shit.
no,
You have to end things where, I mean, if it works out, great for
Yeah.
sure. But like my gauge, especially working with newer dogs, is especially when things aren't working out because it typically just doesn't get much better the more you push and the more you say, oh well, let's run it back and do one more rep. It just doesn't
It's
end well.
always the one more.
Yeah, the one more demon starts tapping, and it's like, dude, let's hit it one more time, and then or let them do something great, and you're like, all right, let's see it again,
God, man.
and it's like the statistics aren't there. But yeah, so that was one of the things that it taught me was just step away from the dog and have more conversation about the dog. And then
Mhm.
that's what promotes better training for me at least. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that your company that you're working with, they end that early on before before it carries over. But now as far as you're trying to get into bridging the gap between trainer and handler, can you explain a little bit more? Is that something you can talk about?
Yes, it is. So that I'm debating. So the big thing I saw within like the vendor world, because a lot of vendors do like the trainer courses,
Hmm.
and what that ends up being is an agency paying $10,000 for their handler to go spray dog shit for 10 weeks, and that's not what I like. I want to offer the tools that I've gained and be able to put them in somebody else's toolbox. And I know a lot of agencies also can't lose handlers for 10 weeks at a time. And by no means am I saying after the 5 days handlers spend with me, are they going to be trainers? That's not what makes you a trainer. But it's going to be kind of tailored to. I'm still deciding what I want to cap the class at. So like my decoy courses are capped at 12 decoys. Um, but I'm deciding where I want to cap these at because if you get too big, people aren't getting the reps in and they're not getting the one-on-one time they need. But it's going to be tailored to so when teams sign up for it, okay, you give me your strong points, give me your weak points, give me what you as a handler are not confident in, and tell me where you're not confident in your dog ass and in your dog in. And then kind of rolling back to the statement of you don't know what you don't know, there's going to be a lot of assessment in there. So what I'm planning on doing, I haven't had I still haven't officially launched it yet. I'm waiting on the flyer to be done actually,
Okay.
but uh, what I'll do as well is everything's going to be recorded and kind of like how the professionals watch tape, right? It's the
Right.
Yeah.
same thing. Well, let's roll back, watch tape. You point out to me where you did wrong. Well, how was your payment wrong? How was your lease manipulation wrong? So on and so forth. Oh, did you raise your head before you said yes? Are you cueing the dog when you don't even know it? Those
Oh, I
are
love that.
and just yeah. That's what I want to do with it, and I'm gonna tailor it. I know as I go along. I've had one decoy course, and I'm already tailoring it a little bit differently now. Um, but that's the plan tentatively so far. Now that I'm a little hemmed up, I have more time to work on the curriculum for it, but that's the plan.
And
Okay.
by the way, I'm because we're all sitting here looking at each other. Just for everybody's sake, Sarah's doing this with a fucking broken shoulder, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it sucks for you. I hate that happened. But I guess good timing for as far as interview. But
Hmm.
and I asked that, John. I want you to kind of just speak into like what because he has an apprenticeship program that kind of mirrors what you're talking about as far as bridging the gap between just handlers and trainers and in his case caretakers. So John, if you can talk about your program, um, how it
Yeah,
works.
so it's a very similar philosophy. Like I love everything you just said about it because there's so many programs out there where you show up, like you said, you're just shoveling shit. You're getting scrap time. They're not really investing in you. I love what you said about breaking down the film because that is something we talk about all the time and something we always catch ourselves on. We do not record enough, right? And it ended up becoming where we really want to turn people into trainers. We want to get in depth. We want to show you why, how to build relationships, and do different things like that with your dog. So it's really cool to hear that you're out there doing that, and the fact that you're traveling is even better. Like that's the dream to me is to be able to travel and go do that.
Hmm.
Uh, but it sounds like we share a very similar philosophy in that, which is great to hear. I'm glad there's other people out there putting in that work and doing it. And I mean, you're doing one hell of a job breaking your shoulder and, and still trucking on for another day and a half. I don't know if I could
Yeah.
have powered through that, so good on you. Something I did want to ask you was how do you like the traveling aspect? Like, how does that play into it? Is it beneficial? Is it harder not being at one location? Uh, just kind of your thoughts on being able to move around.
So I think the only thing that's kind of off-putting a little bit is like I don't really have a home. Like right now I'm sitting in one of the handlers I trained houses. She's been generous enough to open up her house to me, and especially like with the kind of I'm in limbo right now with figuring out if I need surgery or not. And but it's also helped me. The traveling aspect has helped me build so many connections and relationships with people, and that's the big part. That's what I love about this. I love the one-on-one I get to have with people. I love the interactions I get to have with them, and I'm very so my two best friends, they passed away. They're both in the Navy, and I was supposed to be doing this with them. And
Yeah.
being able to tell their story and our like how many nights we sat up drinking, talking about all the dream handlers that we wanted to build, all the dream dogs that we wanted to build, and the passion that literally poured out of us, and being able to share that with handlers and trainers across the country is phenomenal. And getting to meet like-minded people who are genuinely in it for the dogs as well. Like I said, don't get me wrong. There's times I'm like, damn, I don't even have a home. Like so I got a foot bite last week at that seminar as well, and the foot bite was before the shoulder. And that one,
Jesus.
like, I thought I broke my foot on it,
Yeah.
and
Jesus.
I was at my Airbnb, and I'm like limping around. Like it hurt. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. I'm like limping around my Airbnb, and I'm like, damn, like I'm out here in South Carolina. I don't know anybody. I need help, and I just don't have. Like that sucked. If I'm being completely honest, that sucked.
Yeah.
And then like a day later, I break my shoulder. Like, oh my god.
Holy fuck. It sounds like you're pretty accident prone, Sarah. Good.
So before me on that, I got my foot bite, and the decoy that went before me. So we were going dog for dog. He got a face bite,
Hit
and
a
so
face
I was
bite?
hit. Yeah, he like split his lip open completely,
Well, you came out
and
on the better end then.
yeah, I was like, I'll take that foot bite any
Yeah, I
day
was
over
good to
that
say.
face
So
bite.
I guess it made you feel better. You're like limping. You're like, but it's not my
Right,
face.
loser, in the face.
No. Well, since we're already on it, what happened? How did this shoulder break?
So I was at a seminar, and we were doing a training evolution where the decoy. So I had just a hidden sleeve on, and it was for the handler to get hands on with the decoy. We were supposed to go into a guard. I didn't know what a guard was. I don't roll, but they're like, get into a guard. I'm like, okay. I just got on the handler, and they're like, okay, go. And then we were supposed to go 100%, not 100%. We were supposed to go like maybe 50% at best. And the handler went 100%, and he flipped me off of him. And so the dog was on my left arm. Dog was out, and then all my weight and plus like some of the handler's weight went onto my shoulder, and it snapped. So
Gee.
yeah, that was the first handler I rolled with. I like got in my head about it. I was like, "Don't be a pussy. You can do it," and continued to decoy for the next day and a half. And then I was like, "Okay, yeah, I need to go get X-rays. So something's not right."
When it happened, did you think that it broke, or you're like, oh no, I probably just popped something. I'm just going to power through it?
So I definitely thought I thought I strained it because so in the video you can hear me say "ow," and I don't really I don't like comment on pain like when I'm actually in pain. So like for me to say "ow," I'm like, "Oh, that kind of hurt." And then you can hear the snap in the video as well. But I didn't think I broke it or by any means. But then as the day continued, like I went to go, we finished that evolution, and then I went to go put the suit on, and like putting my like left arm into it, I was tearing up,
Yeah.
and I like got it on, finished. I'm like, all right, guys, left arm's out of play. I'll do it with the right arm, but left arm's out of play. And then it just got to the point where like I couldn't even really raise it, and I'm like, yeah, it's something's not right here. So don't go to the doctor's care in Mount Pleasant, but they did tell me it was broken.
What happened in
Told you it
Mount
was broken.
Pleasant?
So that's where I broke it, and I went to the urgent care. It's called doctor's care, and they take X-rays and they come in and they hand me my sling and they're like, "Yeah, your shoulder's broken." And I'm like, "Can you show me the X-ray?" And so I go look at the X-ray and I point at what I think is broken. I'm not a doctor. I have a high school diploma. Uh, I look at
What the
I
fuck?
look at what I think is broken. I'm like, is that what's broken? And I pointed at my clavicle because that it appeared broken to me. And they're like, yeah. And then they call me 2 days later and say, "How are you feeling?" I'm like, "Oh, like arm's still broken." And then I was like, "Can you please tell me what I actually broke?" And they're like, "Oh, you broke the top of your humerus." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you for telling me now. Appreciate
Well,
it."
that's significantly different than what.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
surprised they let you point at your own X-ray and you just shot from the hip and was like, "Yeah, I think it's this," and she's like, "Fuck it, yeah, I think so too."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but I don't know.
She might have lied
Whatever.
on her job resume, man. Maybe she didn't know.
So have
Yeah,
you ever seen any episodes of Shameless?
yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah,
So I've been told that I'm like the canine version of Shameless.
it's sounding like it. I'm like, because I'm listening to this story. I'm like, dude, I'm such a bitch. Like, I would have given up.
Yeah,
Like,
same.
Listen, I'm not mentally okay, and that's fine. Don't
Oh man,
I'm
that's fascinating.
95% positive. The second my shoulder like even popped, I'm like, "Hey, hold up, guys, I need to check on this." And I would have like got up. I'm like, "Let's go look at this real quick."
No, it takes a certain type of person.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, gotta be tough as
but
nails.
going back into that scenario, I'm not. I hate to make you relive this moment over and over, but
take a
uh,
buff.
yeah, there we go. It's fine. We'll just keep drinking. It'll get better. But
Yeah.
uh, no, but like one of the things that stuck out to me is like John and I talk about this a lot. It's like the importance of terminology, and I'm not talking about like operating and conditioning and all that shit. Just like even in your scenario where the guy told you to get in the guard, and you're like, "What the fuck is the guard?"
Mhm.
Because that means different things to different people, right? So like when you said it, the guard, I'm thinking the dog is assuming a position on the decoy or something, or something of that nature. But what they were just, or did they explain what they were trying to describe?
No, so they we were already in it, uh getting into position. He meant guard by I think it's like I said, I don't roll, I don't do jujitsu. I think it's
Oh,
one of the positions for jujitsu, and that's
yeah,
why the position he wanted me to start in because the handler started out on their back, and this was for them to hey, you're because some people who dogs get on bites, these people are so high they don't feel it, and they're
Yeah.
right.
still fighting, and so that's for them to figure out, hey, this is how you maneuver a dog and a suspect without breaking your dog's neck, so on and so forth.
While
And so
fighting a
they wanted,
suspect.
yep.
Okay, gotcha.
And so they want to be in the guard on top of this handler. And yeah, I didn't know what that was. So I just to get on top of him.
So you're mounted. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
mounted on this man.
Yeah.
There's my,
There it is. All right, we killed the elephant in the room, guys. But
you
yeah.
wanted me to say it.
Now that everybody's gotten that out the way. No, but I get what you're saying. That's actually that's pretty cool. I'm glad you shared that from because I'm still active duty, and that's something I don't think I've ever done, to be honest. Like in the military, as far as scenario based training, and we've just never really thought of to do that. So that's pretty cool. That they're
There's
practicing.
one thing I talked about it with. So I don't know if you've listened to any of Steve Antomarchi's any of his podcasts. He does a lot of the hemp versus marijuana studies.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, but so I've been working a lot with him recently. I did a seminar with him about a month ago. And I lost my train of thought. What were we
No, you're
talking
good.
about?
Just the guard and everything, and not. He said he's never had that experience in the military, and that's even something I haven't
Oh
seen.
yeah. So we talked about that a lot. So kind of rolling into kind of the trainer aspect of it too, and seeing primary and secondary targeting, especially when it comes to the bite work that I saw in the military versus what I saw and what I've been training the last 2 years since I've been out is so vastly different.
Can you touch on that real quick? The primary and secondary targeting.
So primary targeting is arm, bicep, tricep, and
Hmm.
then secondary targeting is legs.
Okay, and that's pretty universal, I'm assuming then.
At least in the police world, yes.
Yeah, for sure. So okay, and I'm not trying to dive too deep into it, but like, yeah. Do y'all ever do anything? Did he mention about like? So let me rephrase. Going into like, there's a lot of study about like dog cognitivity. Goodness. Um, and so starting it out, have you done that with like puppies, like teaching them primary targeting or anything like
So
that?
I haven't done it with puppies.
Okay.
The dogs that when I worked at that vendor that we got in, usually at the very youngest, we're about 10 months old.
Okay, so they're kind of
Um,
familiar.
yeah, so they come over and they've at least been on a suit.
Okay.
But most of them, all of them that have come over haven't seen legs. And so Alex and I, the guy that I decoy a lot with, we were building all those bite dogs together. And so that's like one like before we introduce the legs, we make sure they're confident and calm on bicep, tricep. And then after that, then we move to the secondary targeting. And you'll have I had a discussion with a handler the other day, and he's talking about how he loves chest bites, and I'm like, why? Can we talk about the why you love chest bites? And
I
he's like,
love it.
well, that
Yeah.
shows me, yeah. He's like, that shows me that my dog's gonna bite anywhere. I'm like, well, from a safety standpoint, that's not safe for your decoy. That's not safe for your dog. There's really no way, like, you can absorb it to a point, but you can't truly absorb a chest bite. And that there's not a lot, especially like these meth heads and crackheads that you guys are tracking down. There's not a lot for them to bite onto on those suspects.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, if you have a dog that is confident, truly, truly confident on primary and secondary targeting, I can promise you that they're gonna bite what is available. They're gonna bite that foot. They're gonna bite their. I just one of the dogs that I put
Obviously.
on the
Yeah.
street. The foot bites are great.
Yeah.
uh, so I'm in the Dallas area right now, and one of the dogs that Alex and I put on the street, he just got 2 butt bites in a row.
Nice.
And so live fast, eat ass, boys. But
I, I like it. I like it.
and that dog that we did all, I can promise you. So for me, if I'm doing fundamental training,
Right.
I do primary and secondary targeting. If I'm
Okay.
working arms and the dog hits somewhere else, no, we're going to take the dog off. We're going to get them where I'm targeting. If it's the bicep, we're going to get them on the bicep, so on and so forth. But when we roll into the scenario based training, and so say like if you're passive in a closet, so for like me, like I tuck into a corner and pretty much what is available is like my triceps and my backside. A
Hmm.
lot of times with that, you'll get butt bites. In that scenario, yeah, I'm going to roll that through because that's what was available to the dog, and the dog is staying on it. He's confident. I'm going to let the dog have that. Or even like I did, there's a seminar in Indiana called ATK9 that I decoyed for last year. There's a lot of prone bites, a lot of dead checks in that one.
Yeah.
And I got a rib bite, and it was on suit, thank God. And that hurt. That freaking hurt. But I rolled it through because it's real world. If that's what the dog gets, that's what he gets. But if you have that confident, truly confident dog on primary, secondary targeting, they're gonna work. They're gonna get what they can get.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
100%.
So now I guess my second question, and we're gonna address another elephant in the room. So I'm
How
gonna
many
bring up.
elephants are in the room?
I don't know. They just keep popping up, right?
We're about to figure it out.
Yeah. No, but like, so in the industry, obviously, like even statistically speaking, you don't see a lot of females like actively decoying, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm curious on what got you into that versus like just doing pet training when you got out or something, I'm not going to say simplistic because pet training is a whole nother thing, but what got you to stay with like biting or decoy work
So
as you're calling?
for me, and I've had people tell me like, "Hey, don't discredit your years in the military doing this." I don't count my 5 years decoying in the Navy because I was just thrown into a suit and said, "Hey, good luck," and a slap on the ass. And that's and seeing the lack of dogs built up that way, and then seeing what a true confident and knowledgeable decoy, and seeing like the actual monsters that you can put on the street that way, that's why I love it. And when it comes down to like a decoy can be someone's life, saving someone's
Mhm.
life, whether it be the officer's life, the backup officers, or civilian's life. Having a decoy that knows what they're doing and putting themselves into sketchy situations to get the job done for the dog. That's why I do it. And that's, some people call me crazy. Some people, I've been called crazy for doing what I do. Because a lot of the stuff, what I do is for free. Like the training days I go to, those are for free. I was out at the seminars just that was for free. But I'm doing it for the dogs at the end, and the handlers. I care about them a little bit too. But
Yeah.
but doing it for the dogs, and that's why, especially like female wise too. I've had dogs that have had multiple successful apprehensions on the street, and with all male suspects. And
That's what I
then
wanted to hit on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
and they get onto the bite with me, and the first time I marked that counter, I know everyone calls it something a little different. But when the
Yeah.
dog pushes in, I call it countering.
Okay.
When I mark that counter, the dogs are like, "Oh, what was that? Why do you sound like a squeaky toy or the gingerbread man?" Like,
Yeah. You ever
and
see
I've
any
had
dogs like
dogs
pop off?
actually, yeah, I've had dogs pop off before,
Mm.
and so we work through it. Usually by like that end of that session, those dogs are fine. There was this one dog, his name was Bohawk, and this was a dog that Alex and I had trained, and he with Alex, and Alex is about the same like height. I'm 6 foot. Um, he's about the
Jesus,
same
are you?
height as me. Yeah.
Shit. All right.
Uh,
Right on.
so Alex is about the same. I'm a little taller than him, especially because I always wear my hair in a bun when I decoy because I got my hair bit once.
Oh, you're
Um,
gonna have to talk about that. God damn.
Yeah,
You're just
man.
going through it. Fuck. All right. All right. We'll let you finish.
but so it was specifically on the bicep. So on the bicep with Alex, Bohawk was fine. But then when he would get on the bicep with me, and Alex is more experienced decoy wise, like I learned most of what I know from Alex. So I was like, maybe you're just better. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe you're just doing something differently that I'm not seeing. And we both worked it the exact same. And he would just start, like with Alex, he would counter in powerful. And then me, he would just start extracting on the bicep. This is terrible. This my backwards.
Oh
Like,
God.
please
Yeah.
stop. And eventually he was okay with me. He was still always a little more confident with male decoy than the female decoy. But yeah, I've seen it before too.
What do you think it is that triggers that in dogs? Do you think it's just lack of
It,
experience?
it could be an exposure thing, just not like, I mean, all the pheromones that we give off, all the, and I've noticed too, like, so when I was in the Austin area, I decoyed for this training group for almost 2 years, every single training day. So I got to really like understand and like read these dogs a lot. And like during like different parts of my menstrual cycle, these dogs would behave differently. And it was
Hmm.
so cool to watch.
Yeah.
And I've had dogs. I was decoying for a training group in Kentucky, and this dog, very successful on the street. Again, all male suspects. I was doing a civil building search, and it wasn't like a setup for failure either. I was in a closet that was the door had a whole bunch of like holes in it, so if like you could, it wasn't for failure. Dog hit the door. I could hear him breathe in, but nothing. He walked me time and time again.
Really?
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. And I about the menstrual cycle, like it just hit me. I
Hmm.
never thought about like that being a contributor because you think about it with other dogs, like if they're in
Hmm.
heat, but you never think about it like with trainers, like the person,
Yeah.
and what that'll do to a dog. And so that's a interesting point. I'm just yeah,
Yeah.
something.
It especially so you're at a kennel now, right?
No, I'm not in a kennel right now. I'm on my way back to Lackland for part 2, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, if you get to start working with like the same dog consistently and the same female handlers consistently, I'm might be a little personal questions, but like, hey, can you tell
No,
me when
that's
you're on your
fine.
period?
This is what it's for. Fuck it, man.
Yeah.
Whatever you're
But hey,
comfortable with.
tell me when you're on your period, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say this is you walk in, part of the checklist is like, hey, I need to know your menstrual cycle. Yeah,
As you're saying this, I'm
it's
thinking
for
about like,
science. It's for study,
yeah,
for research
I'm thinking of the
development.
2 female decoys I know, and I'm like, I gotta hit them up and see when they're on their period.
Bro,
I
yeah,
gotta,
I'm thinking about all the females I know. I'm like, are y'all tracking this? Like, do y'all know?
I gotta get my dogs on, man.
This dog's all
Man, I
fucked
never
up.
would have thought of that.
So anyway, but the dog. So you said the dog walked you?
Yeah, he walked me completely. Gave no indication that I was there.
Really?
Wow.
And that was that like his first time as far as having a decoy a
Female decoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. That's something, I mean, for people
And
that
it
are
was his
listening.
first time too. So even on the street, he never tracked a female suspect or bit a female suspect.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are, I don't know, I think we definitely underestimate like utilizing females. Because I saw
Yeah.
that even in I went to a seminar with Carlos Ramirez. He did one for the military. And like our working dogs were the same way. Like we had some special forces dogs that, I mean, they bit, but like you saw it, they committed to the bite. But like you said, the first time the female tried to give him auditory feedback for pushing or countering, whatever the case may be. But you could see them, like they'd stop, like they'd look, and
You see the
they're still in the
stress.
bite, but they're like, what the fuck was
Yeah.
that? So
Yeah.
yeah, and that was a very interesting thing. And but no, I appreciate you bringing that up and like being fully transparent, because that's one of the things about the podcast that we're trying to do is just genuine dog talks and like what actually goes into it. But
That
with
is
that,
the first time I've ever heard that brought up anywhere. So that's pretty cool. That's something to think about.
Oh, I'll talk about anything. I don't care.
yeah, well, clearly we're learning that.
No boundaries.
No, I will say that's why I was telling John we really want her on the podcast. Like everybody that I've talked to is that knows you consistently has said the same thing. Fully transparent, doesn't give a shit. Will tell you what's up. And one of the hardest people, like not even gender based, like just the toughest person that they've met. And I did not know you were 6 feet, 6 foot tall. Damn.
17 inches of pure steel sex appeal, baby. Let's go.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't even know how. So my mom, she was 5 foot, like very petite, and then my dad is 5'9" ish, 5'10".
What?
Yeah,
You're
so
giving
I'm
me
like,
hope for my daughter.
Dude, are you giving me hope for my son? I'm like 5'6", and his mom is 5'0", like 5'2". I'm like, maybe something will happen, but damn.
Yeah, I'm 6 foot, but my wife's like 5'1", and I look at my kids and I'm like, oh, damn, you're gonna be like, no offense, but like 5'7".
All right,
I'm
man.
like, oh,
Thanks. All right, so that concludes the show.
I gotta go, man.
Yeah, I gotta go cry now. The shortest person on this fucking podcast.
Yeah.
No. All right, we'll get back on topic, but I have since you're being transparent, I want to know, because I mean I've decoyed, I've done some stuff, whatever, not routinely and consistently, but what's the recovery process like behind it outside of like breaking an actual bone, obviously, but like when you do it,
About 12 weeks.
yeah, you're like, yeah, all right, dickhead, like it's gonna be a while, we get it, but I mean, from your perspective, like how do you go from day to day, like you're in a seminar, we'll say a 3-day seminar, and it's got to be fucking insane. So if you can talk about
honestly, like Billy, like the way Alex and I were pumping out bite dogs, I think that actually built up a lot of scar tissue in my arms, and so I like don't get me wrong, like I am sore, and like to the touch, like ow, to the touch, it'll be sore, but so I mainly catch with my left a lot. And I've noticed that where my arm will get a little sore from when I'm like, at a seminar now, since I'm not training dogs anymore. I'm like, I'll switch to my right. And then the right hurts just as bad because the scar tissue isn't built up like it is in my left arm. But honestly, like so when Alex and I were working at that vendor, we were working like spending 40 hours a week in the bite suit pretty much. I mean, obviously come in, spray, take feed, all that, but like him and I would swap out of the bite suit. And that, like, I think built up a lot of stamina for me, because then like I went to, I don't know if you've heard of AC-Canine, but it's a pretty big like hands-on seminar in Indiana. And there I probably took close to, I think it was like close to 300 or 400 bites that week.
Jesus.
Wow.
And besides, like, I think I got concussed. I don't have like an actual diagnosis, but I'm pretty sure I had a concussion from that week.
Probable, knowing you for the
I
hour that
I
we've
hit
been
my
talking.
head. I hit my head twice, and the second time I hit it, it was on the first day and on the last day. And the second time I hit it, I was like, yeah, that's not feeling too great. But the guy that I was with, his name's Paul Ludwig. He owns Iron Dog Canine. Phenomenal man, very humble, very intelligent. He kept checking in on me time and time again, like, hey, are you good? Do you need anything? Do you need a break? I'm like, it was like, I think 70 in Indiana. It had been in the 90s in Texas, where I just drove up from. I'm like, this feels nice, Paul. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Oh, shit.
And really, like, for me, if I need it, like if I like tweak something a little bit, I'll take ibuprofen, I'll take Tylenol. If I really need it, I'll take like an Epsom salt bath. But like I mean, I'm only 28. I think probably in like 5 years I'll feel a little bit more. But
You will. I'm telling you. Yeah. I'm older. Not by much, but I am older. So, and yeah, the recovery process is fucking ass. Yeah. But
I still talk with my training group from the Austin area a lot, and I told them about my shoulder and how I still continue to, like the next day and a half, I was still decoying and rolling with handlers. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna regret that when you're my age. I'm like, you know what? I'm fine now. That's all we're worried about.
yeah, we just live in the now. Fuck it.
Man. All right. So another question for you, more so on like the business side of things and like operating your own business. What's some advice you would give people who are getting out of the military or people who are wanting to kind of get into what you're doing? Things you learned, just kind of that aspect of it.
Have a plan.
Okay.
I went into it without a plan.
Okay, these are lessons learned, guys. This is not like step by step.
Yeah. I love it.
All right.
So I had originally, I'd always like from the beginning of, the beginning of like even canine being a thought. I'm like, oh, one day I want to own and operate my own business. That's been the goal of mine for years. And then when I started working at the vendor I was working at, I was very transparent with him. I was like, hey, eventually I want to open up my own canine business. I just want to let you know. And he's like, that's fine. I'll help you along the way. I won't dive too deep into it, but I ended up leaving that vendor because of things I didn't agree with.
Right.
And it was kind of an impromptu quit. So that kind of left me, like I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I'm like, you know what? I don't agree with this. I'm going to make it work. And so it kind of set me into like a survival mode in a sense, but I have a strong like support system. I have people. I'm literally at the handler's house right now, so
Nice.
I'm making it work, but definitely have a plan. And don't
Okay.
dive into it the way I did because it's been stressful.
Hey, there's
Nah.
something to be said about having your back up against the wall, though, where the only solution is to do it. Like, you just have to make something happen. I know there's moments where you're probably like, this sucks. It's getting to you. But the reality of it is you have to do it.
When I figured out that I broke my shoulder, like, dude, I was in tears. I was like, what am I going to do? Like I said, I do the training days and stuff for free. But like, I make my money off my seminars. That's how I support myself. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And that, like, trying to process that, especially like, I mean, yeah, I have my friends and my family, like my dad and my grandma and my brothers. So like, I'm out here by myself. And I have my 2 dogs. They don't really talk much, but like trying like
They start talking after the vodka's done.
Yeah, I was
They
gonna
start
say
talking.
I know my dogs talk a lot when I have a lot of whiskey, but I don't know if that's them. But
Like
no,
trying to manage that and figure it out and like go into, like I said, I have a high school diploma. I was in the Navy for 8 years, like diving into a business, like kind of just like Googling, hey, how do I do this? What do I
Yeah.
need to do? And you'll get a lot of like, I got a lot of junk mail saying like, oh, you have to apply for this or you'll be fined. And I'm like, and like it's something you have to pay for. You don't have to pay for them. It's people trying to get your money.
yeah,
Do your research though, because some things you do have to pay for. Uh, but you'll get a lot of junk mail saying, "Hey, you have to apply for this. You need this license, so on and so forth." And a lot of it you don't need. It's just companies out there trying to get you for your money.
right,
And for service members that are planning on getting out, wanting to do what I'm doing or something similar, start your VA process before you get
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm battling that as well
nah,
right now.
okay.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take
Well,
take advantage of abuse the body.
I'm gonna offer just while we're on here, like for real, if you need any help with like the business part, because that's what something that John and I talk about a lot. Because like
Mhm.
I'm moderate with dogs or whatever, I'm all that great stuff. But um, a lot of our current conversations is him pushing me. He's like, you need to start your own business. He has his own successful business, obviously.
Mhm.
And please reach out. I don't care, I know John personally enough to extend him out, but the business side I would strongly encourage if you want advice. We have other people that we can reference and stuff, so but
Appreciate it.
yeah, for sure. Like please reach out. But man, that's that's crazy. But one thing I have heard like consistently throughout this time that we've talked is, and I admire about you, like just knowing you the hour that we've talked, is you seem to stand up for what you believe in. Like
Yeah.
with the Navy, things weren't going too well. You walked away, you distance yourself. It's not for me, right? And then the same thing, whatever happened with the vendor and everything else, you're consistently sticking to your beliefs. And as corny as it sounds and all that shit, but like that's something I think is very very critical, especially in what we do with dogs and stuff like that. Like you have to be morally sound. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, it's hard and and that's kind of why like so Steve, who I talked about a little bit earlier, um him and I are on the same page as to what we want in this industry because you get a lot of people who are in it for the money. They're in it for, oh, I want to be on XYZ. I want my name out there. Like you should be doing it for the teams at the end of the day
Yeah.
and for the lives that you're going to be saving, whether it be pulling drugs off the street, whether it be pulling felons off the street, XYZ. Like that's why you should be doing it. And
Yeah.
finding when you find your people that you see eye to eye with, like you'll know like those are your people.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like don't get me wrong. Like there's been times in this journey, especially when like I walked away from that vendor. Like, there's been times I'm like, dude, like I am all alone. But like I look back at it, I'm not. I have the support system of the people who believe in what I'm doing, and like the people who know like the reasons why I left. Like that support system is unbreakable. Like what I was talking about. So if I have to have surgery, my family's still out of Wyoming, and my dad's retired. And I'm like, oh, like, I'll just go, like, I'll go have the surgery done in Colorado. And like, I'll have like my dad and my grandma take care of me. And
for
my
sure.
friend Haley, who I'm staying at her house right now, she heard me say that on the phone, and she looks at me and she's like, absolutely not. I'm like, what? She's like, no. She's like, I will be taking care of you. And like, she's a
Mm.
she's a handler. She's a police officer that I've trained here. And like, she's still putting herself out there to take care of me when I'm broken. And that says a lot about when you find your people in the community, you find your people. And
Dude,
like, my dad can take care of me, but like the fact that she's like arguing with me, no, I'm gonna take care of you, like that says a lot.
and I
Yeah.
think that's like the biggest difference of like as far as like when you do it, like it's a byproduct for sure. Like we all have this similar passion of like wanting to train dogs and everything. And and I tell John this all the time because I'm not a people person. Like I have horrible social skills and shit like
Mhm.
that. But like even right now, like we have never met. No, none of us, we don't know you. But like dogs fill that bridge for me, like the networking, and not for like money or monetary gain, but like just knowing genuine people. And
Mhm.
it's crazy. I always tell people. I think I told you this when I was messaging you. Like the more people I meet in the industry, the smaller it is, though, because we're all
Oh, it is
connected in some way.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you have that support, and
And it's kind of why, like, too. So I'll bring up. I brought up earlier my two best friends so they were both handlers that passed away.
mhm,
Um, and it was from suicide, and they were both at
yep,
the kennel that I was at. The reason why I got out. All those reasons kind of fall hand in hand. And but it's uncomfortable for people to talk about, but I talk about it for a reason, especially in this line of duty. If you don't talk about that shit that's on your chest, that you're going through, that these officers are seeing, like, we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it as an industry. We're not gonna make it as a team because at the end of the day, we all need each other as instructors, as trainers, as parents, as people. Like we all need
Yeah.
each other. That's like trying to process all that and like processing the amount of grief that I've gone through in the last few years. Like that's a big part of, and this is bringing a more human side of it to it because a lot of times you get robotic people and here you go, like we're out here to do a job. Like when you have something at the end of your leash that breathes and thinks on its own, that feeds off of your emotions, you have to handle that shit that's in your heart. This sounds
Yeah.
corny, but it's true.
No.
And that's
Yeah.
yeah.
why a big part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because we all got to. This sounds so corny, but we got to be there for each other.
No.
No,
No. 100%.
it's sad that
You.
we have to say it sounds corny, but no, you're exactly right.
I want you to know as this conversation has gone on, you're definitely on my list of people because we talk about it all the time. We try and put on free events. We try and give back to the dog training community. It's something we're really trying to hone in on because there's so much BS out there, so much bullshit that's just being promoted or it's all for monetary gain. We all need to make a living. I understand that, but it shouldn't be at the expense of the handlers. And you're
hmm
you're already on the list. Like I'm about to pencil your name in for all right. If I need to call somebody, this is somebody who can be added to that list because you can tell there's
We're
some
gonna
Appreciate
serious
it.
talk to you
bad.
offline. I already know what he's talking about, and
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. It would be an honor if you. Or I have goosebumps right now because I know exactly what John's talking about. It was
Yeah.
just
Yeah. You know what it is.
it's in
We've
the
talked
works, so
about it.
we can't say it publicly. But
Yeah. It
Okay.
yeah,
can't be disclosed on the
um,
air yet, but it's something we'll talk to you about after
yeah,
this.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear you're out there and really putting in the work. And even when you said bridging the gap and you kind of described what that program meant, that hit home. It really did. That's something enough people aren't doing. So I'm really happy to hear you're out there doing that. And the fact that you're able to go to different departments and offer that is huge. It really is. And I know you're kind of out of commission, but what are some things we can kind of shout you out on for now or kind of put out
Yep.
there if people are looking to train with you, work on that
Um,
Oh,
film that we talked about?
real quick before we go into that, while you're thinking
Yeah.
about it, for the military people, because obviously you're gonna have some people listening. Can you just shout out like the skill bridge that you did again?
Oh, yes.
so I did the Skill Bridge program. It is, if you want to do it, I would start the process at a minimum a year out.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, and it's going to vary branch to branch and base to base about the requirements that you need to hit. But you can just Google SkillBridge DoD and
Mhm.
then bring it up to your career counselor at whatever base you're at, and they will assist you in what steps you need to take. Um, and then if you pull up the SkillBridge site, there's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of different companies that if you want to do an internship with, you can do so. And even if they're not on the list, so the place that I used to work, that I did my internship with, they originally weren't on the list. But I had reached out
Okay.
to them saying, "Hey, this is SkillBridge. I would love to do it with you guys. We did like a phone interview, and he said, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do it. What do I need to do?" And I gave him the SkillBridge website, and any company can apply. And this helps out for a lot of
Okay.
people too. Any company can apply to do SkillBridge.
Okay,
Nice.
And I
sweet.
think the vetting process for it varies from like 3 to 6 months for companies to be approved for it.
All right, good to know. I've
Okay.
got a
So
Yeah, because
guy who's been training for a minute, and he's actually getting out in September, maybe July at the soonest. And he was just
yeah,
asking if we could get on that list. So that's something I need to really get on.
yeah,
yeah,
I absolutely do because it's very beneficial. Like I think that really is what gave me a leg up too in my like in the because I know a lot of people do struggle with that transition of going from military to civilian. So
right.
it helps out service members so much.
No, and,
All right,
that's good. And for those that are listening, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, the skill bridge, you're still active duty on the latter end of your contract, X amount of months of your contract left, and you're participating in something that might be your next career, and you're still getting paid by the military, correct?
Yep. So again, the pay varies branch to branch. So I think the Marines had just changed it. But for me, I was E5 when I got out
Right.
or when I started the process for Skill Bridge. And so I still collected my BH, my housing allowance. I got
Mm-hmm.
my base pay. But the only thing is the housing allowance goes for based off of where your duty station is at, not the area that your skill bridge is at. So my duty station was Washington State. My skill bridge was out of the Austin area, which I mean the cost of living is kind of the same. But that is one thing to consider. So if you're in like Podunk nowhere and your BH
Yeah.
is seven
And
hundred
you think you're
dollars,
going to San Diego or some shit.
yeah,
Yeah. You better have something in the savings. Yeah. No, that's a good.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
yeah,
very good.
great point.
And then I think it took me they right after I got approved for it, that's when they put out like, oh, you need to start the process a year out because I did it kind
Mhm.
of like mine was like fast tracked a little bit, but yeah, I would at a minimum start the process a year out.
Nice.
Okay. All right, good to know. All right. Yeah, I definitely got to hop on that list because we got a trainer. He's been with us for like 9 months, but he's a full-time Marine getting ready to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm almost doing him a disservice not being on that list.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm about to argue with him on air because I'm like, I told John we should.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're horrible procrastinators. But no, Sarah. Unfortunately, we got to wrap it up. I'm gonna venture to say we got to get you back on here. We'll see you after the recovery if you're willing to come back. But this was awesome. Please, if you don't mind sharing where people can find you and how they can get in touch with you.
So I have my main like source of contact is my Instagram page, it's CJC
Mhm.
and then K9 spelled out. My website is still under construction.
Okay.
So that's so the Instagram is the best
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
Yep.
And those aren't your initials, right, for your company?
No,
So
so when my mom was 100% my biggest supporter in all things canine, and
okay.
when she passed away, um, my brothers and I were her beneficiaries.
Hmm.
So everything that I got from that, I've used to start my company.
Nice.
And just because it's not even the monetary value of it. Like that woman was anybody who met my mom, like she was a phenomenal woman, and she loved everybody, she cared about everybody, and she put everything into her kids. So I just wanted to carry her name on for a little bit longer.
No, that's awesome.
Awesome. No, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Again,
I'm
the
sorry you had to go
passion
through
and
that, but that's awesome that you're
It's
able
life, big
to.
dog. It's okay.
See, there it is.
I love
Fucking
it.
fuck, dude.
Fucking love it.
No, but that's good that you're able to put something, to contribute to her. And that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely I don't know, we got to figure it out. Hopefully this was a good experience for you. I'm just
Yeah.
assuming, but yeah, we definitely have to have you back on. I want to hear what you're into after the recovery for sure.
As soon as you're recovered, you will probably be getting a message. We need you down to decoy and come help out a little bit.
People are just like, "Hey, your right arm still works, right?" I'm like, "Look,
Oh my god, what the fuck?
you can take leg bites, right?" I'm like, "No, leave me alone."
You know, my dog's never seen anybody in a sling. Could you facilitate? Like, the fuck, man?
We got a good
I was at
friend.
a
He's got
training
one
last
leg.
night, and they're like, "That sling looks awfully like a sleeve." I'm like, "Leave me alone."
Holy shit.
We got a good buddy, Will. So he got his leg blown off in, I want to say it was either Iraq or Afghanistan, but he still decoys. And like, I feel so bad sometimes. I'm like, hey man, can you show the dog a slightly different picture? And he just comes out like crawling across the ground, showing these like crazy presentations. But
I
hey, the
couldn't even
dog's
imagine
never
a dog like.
No, that's
that's the reaction.
that's always the reaction. By the way, she's making like a face like get back or like weirded out. And that, I mean, it fucks you want to fuck a dog up. Forget a menstrual cycle.
The first time I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
You and your vagina can get out of here. I have one leg.
Yeah, you have nothing on this. Yeah, we found. Holy
He literally
shit.
saved my phone as the one leg decoy. We'll get the one leg and the one arm decoy out there. We'll do like a joint training
I
session.
gotta say, this surgery might not go well.
Oh my god. Well, if it doesn't, you got a place of employment.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, it was definitely great having you on. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, it was.
All right, we'll go ahead and wrap it up,
All right.
and then we'll talk to you offline about what we kind of mentioned earlier.
Okay.
All right, I think that'll kind of
All right.
conclude it for this episode.
All right, gentlemen.
All right. Appreciate
Let me free your mind, your mind, your mind.